Title: The Final Betrayal, a South African Con. Marcus Chike was a man who had built his entire life on deception. A teacher by profession, his true talents lay in the art of manipulation. But one thing had always eluded him: true wealth. Sure, he had his fair share of small cons and schemes that padded his bank account. But Marcus wasn't interested in modest gains. He wanted big money. He wanted to live like the elite, and he was willing to go to any lengths to get there. His opportunity came in the form of a financial institution in Johannesburg, South Africa. It was one of the top-tier banks in the country, and its high-level business managers and investors were exactly the kind of people Marcus needed to get close to. So, he devised a plan. He would disguise himself as a financial advisor. It wasn't the hardest job to fake after all. He had experience manipulating people, and with the right documents, he could get in anywhere. His goal wasn't to advise or guide clients on their finances. It was much simpler than that. He wanted to meet the women, the attractive, powerful women who worked at the bank, the ones who had access to money and status. And once he had access to them, he would manipulate his way into their lives. One of them, in particular, caught his eye: Lerato Nkosi, a business manager at the bank. She was smart, beautiful, and completely out of his league. But that only made her more interesting. Marcus wasted no time. He worked his charm on Lerato, setting up an initial meeting under the guise of offering his financial services. He presented himself as a polished, confident man who could help her and the bank increase their wealth exponentially. Lerato was intrigued. She had met many men in her professional life, but Marcus was different. He didn't play the game of office flirtation or awkward small talk. He was confident, direct, and charming. And before long, she found herself falling for him. They began meeting regularly. Marcus made sure to always be present at the right events, always on hand to offer his financial insights. But beneath the surface, he was working his own agenda. It didn't take long before they were seeing each other outside of work. Marcus played the role of the perfect boyfriend, attentive, caring, and always there when she needed him. But all the while, he was collecting information on her finances, her habits, and the workings of the bank. He knew this wasn't just about love, it was about taking everything she had. Marcus knew that Lerato was smart. She would never fall for a simple con, so he had to plan carefully. He knew about her connection to a group of wealthy investors who controlled millions of dollars in offshore accounts. These accounts, Marcus knew, were the key to his fortune. He started planting the seeds of trust in Lerato's mind. He told her he was working on a high-level financial project that would change the future of global investments. He made her believe he had access to confidential financial tools and expertise that could help her. He even proposed they work together to unlock access to private funds that could be invested back into the bank, making both of them incredibly wealthy. What she didn't know was that Marcus had already started to siphon off money from the bank's hidden accounts. Slowly at first, moving small sums to test the waters. But he wasn't satisfied. He wanted everything. Lerato, in the meantime, was completely smitten. She trusted Marcus more than anyone. They spoke of their future together, of trips to exotic places, of the life they would build. In Marcus, she saw a man who could not only share her ambitions, but also amplify them. But Marcus was playing a much darker game. As he grew closer to Lerato, the more he understood her vulnerabilities, her ambition, her desire to prove herself, and her need for someone who truly understood her in a world where trust was hard to come by. When he saw that she had begun to fall for him completely, Marcus upped the stakes. He manipulated her into believing that if they combined their financial expertise, they could control not just a small fortune, but an empire. They could take millions, even billions, from those who would never miss it. Lerato, completely blinded by love and ambition, agreed. She began transferring more and more money into their joint account. Marcus set up fake companies and shell accounts under false identities, all to funnel the stolen funds into safe havens. But Marcus wasn't content with just the money. No, he wanted Lorato's trust, the one thing he hadn't yet broken. Marcus knew it was only a matter of time before Lorato would realize something was off. He had to act quickly. He proposed that they take a final step in their plan, a major transfer of funds that would cement their place among the wealthiest in the world. They would make it look like a legitimate investment, one that would return unimaginable profits. But it was all a lie. The night of the transfer, Marcus had everything ready. He sent Lorato a message saying they needed to meet at her apartment to finalize the deal. She agreed, trusting him completely. When she arrived, Marcus was already there, sitting at the table with the paperwork. "All we need to do is sign this, and it's done," Marcus said, his voice smooth. "We'll have everything we ever wanted." But as Lorato signed the documents, Marcus slipped a tranquilizer into her wine. He had already transferred $200 million from the hidden offshore accounts into a new private account under his control. It was the final stage of his plan. As the drug took effect, Lorato collapsed. Marcus stood over her, watching the woman who had once trusted him now lying unconscious before him. "You were never meant to be a partner, Lorato," he whispered, grabbing the documents and the USB drive containing all the bank's encrypted accounts. "Just a stepping stone." With everything in place, Marcus took one last look at Lorato. He'd used her, manipulated her, and now it was time for him to disappear. The following day, Marcus Chaik was gone. He had boarded a private flight to the Caribbean, where he would live out his days in luxury away from the eyes of those who would hunt him down. He thought it was over. He thought he had won. But he hadn't counted on Lorato's resolve. Lorato, though disoriented and confused when she awoke, immediately pieced together what had happened. The money was gone. Marcus was gone, and he had left her with nothing but a trail of lies and broken promises. But she wasn't done. Lorato had resources, and she used every one of them to track Marcus down. She knew he wouldn't just disappear. He was too confident, too arrogant. She also knew he was not alone in this. There were others, people he had used to pull off his grand con. She started by reaching out to Dante Alvarez, a contact in the underground world who had connections in the Caribbean. She was going to find him, no matter what it took. Marcus had thought he could escape. But just as he had done with Lorato, he had underestimated her. Lorato had followed him to the Caribbean. With the help of Dante, she had pieced together Marcus's new identity. She knew exactly where he was hiding, and she was determined to bring him to justice or to make him pay for what he had done. The final confrontation happened on a rooftop in Johannesburg, where Marcus thought he was safe. He had made his escape, but Lorato was relentless. When they met, he had the upper hand, he thought. But the moment he turned his back, Lorato had him surrounded. She wasn't there to negotiate. She was there to make him pay. But Marcus had one final trick up his sleeve. He betrayed her one last time, setting up an ambush with men in suits who had come to take her down. Lorato, realizing too late that she had been outplayed once again, was arrested, but Marcus, the master of deception, had already vanished into the shadows, never to be heard from again.